Hello, welcome to the new moon in Gemini. So, Gemini is a playful time, it's a creative and playful time. Yes, it's the sign of the twins. Yes, some Geminis can have two personalities or be two-faced, but a lot of the time, that's like a shadow side that it's exaggerated. Geminis are usually pretty fun. They're usually informed and clever, and they like to be playful. They like to brainstorm. They like to start things. They don't always love to follow through on them or finish them, but they love to initiate new ideas. And they're very good at adapting to whoever they're with, which in some cases is absolute genius. You need Geminis to be in PR positions, let's say, and smooth the waters and know how to be around one person and know how to be around another person. Um, and yes, the shadow side of that is manipulation. Because, if you're good at adapting yourself to what people need you to be, then how do people know that they know the real you? They're seeing. How do you know that they're not mirroring you right now and they're actually being who they are, their true selves? So it takes a while to get to know a Gemini well. And they always have that duality. So it's more exaggerated in men than it is in women, I find. You'll get the social butterfly, charming, outgoing, and then you'll get the person that just wants to shut the door, just won't talk for 2 days. Yep. Uh-huh. Mm, yep. And that's all you're going to get out of them. And then the next time, maybe they're in the mood and, you're going for a car ride to the grocery store and suddenly, blah, floodgates open and there they are and they're talking. So they can be a little extreme that way with whatever the mood they're in. And the women I find can be that way too. They need their alone time and their downtime. So if you have a Gemini in your life, you probably already know this. If you are Gemini moon or Gemini rising, then you'll have that aspect to you as well. So how do you work through that? Well, they're here to work through their two extremes, and integrate it and just maybe get a little better at managing it and communicating it. That's about all. So we're going to take a look at how the new moon is affecting everything and what other planets are lining up to help it or go against it. And we have some pretty momentous transits of the planets. Two things have moved into Aries now. And so for astrologers, that really for us means that we're in a new era. So we're going to talk about that. First of all, though, I'm going to invite you to join my Intuition Cafe on Facebook. It is a free group, Intuition Cafe, where you can share if you wish. You'll be prompted with different images and questions to help stimulate your own intuition and gut feelings. And sometimes people want to engage a lot and sometimes they don't. And there's really no pressure. It's supposed to be, for me, it's supposed to be there to have a space, excuse me, where it's safe to talk about your intuition with others, and where you're asked to even use it, in regular life. So that is free if you want to sign up. And I intend to create some Intuition Cafe events this summer if you're in the Montreal area. I still haven't nailed down what dates yet, but sort of thinking one per month, and to pick different locations in the Montreal area in cafes, and we'll see how it goes. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. Otherwise, if you're looking for a reading, I'm available in person or online, so you can just message me. My email is below in the comments. Otherwise, makes me happy if you like, subscribe, and share. All right, let's dig into this chart. I don't know about where you are, but where I am, the weather absolutely sucks. We're having such rainy, cold, sort of almost late October weather instead of May, beautiful, almost June, out in the garden, sunny. Yeah, it's like, where's the damn sun? Anyway, it's everything's looking very green, that's for sure. But I'm really looking forward to some warmth. So I don't know if you've got that where you are, but I definitely noticed that the weather has been affecting everybody that I know. And it puts you back in your winter self, you know, you want to just have soup and sleep in. You don't feel motivated like you do when the weather's good. So if you hear that in my voice in any way, I'm blaming the humidity and the dampness. So let's take a look here. So the chart, as usual, I cast it for New York City or for Eastern time zone. So this new moon has a Capricorn rising, Gemini and moon, sun and moon in Gemini, excuse me. So that right there gives it a funny vibe. As I just described to you what Geminis are like, well, it's very different than Capricorn. So the rising sign is all like ambitious and practical and strategic and long-term thinking and conscious of money, conscious of status. Very different than the Gemini planets. However, those planets are in the 5th house, which is creativity and romance and projects. So despite this, you know, maybe corporate kind of demeanor or classy demeanor, there's actually a lot of activity and brainstorming and social activity going on behind the scenes. And I'm already seeing it in my own life, just with, you know, just increased calls and invitations and plans. And I'm also seeing it with like more people around and more gatherings and more noisy. That's judgy. Yeah, more gatherings going on in and around me. So the social thing is always a thing with Gemini. And when you've got sun and moon, Jupiter is still in Gemini, also emphasizing. And Mercury here is just into Gemini. So it's really a stellium. It's 4 planets. Uranus is pretty tight in Taurus with the moon and sun and Mercury. So even though it's Taurus, it's still emphasizing. So what happens when you get the basic traits of Gemini, but you add Uranus and Jupiter in there? Well, now you get energy that is social times 50. Now you get people coming into your life quickly, exiting your life quickly. You get like revolving door kind of effect. You get projects happening, you get more ideas and more, and then another one, and then this, and then maybe somebody wants to join in with you, and then maybe somebody else leaves, and it's all constantly shifting. And as long as you don't get too worried or bogged down in things being super planned and organized and following a straight line, it can actually be really good, really organic, really lively. So it's happening in the 5th house. Creativity mean like, are you brainstorming about all kinds of projects that bring out your creative side? And creative doesn't mean you have to be a painter. Whenever I use the word paint, creative or artist, people think, oh, painting. I have to be a painter. I have to be a sculptor. No, you can be really good with your garden and be creative. You can be really good with cooking and preparing food and be creative. You can be good at arranging your space, even though you're not a professional decorator. You might have good taste and know how to juxtapose things and work with colors, and you're really creative. You know, you might you might be very good at just brainstorming and ideas and finding new ways and being resourceful to solve problems. That's creative. You might know how to build stuff. That's creative. So right now, I mean, you could argue that beginning of summer and of spring is a very busy creative time anyway. Everybody's preparing cottages and sheds and gardens and cleaning out from the winter. But this is particularly extra busy. So I would expect maybe some of you have either way more on your plate than you can get done. Maybe you're okay with that. Spread the ideas out. You're not going to get them all done. That's okay. It doesn't matter. Maybe you're just gathering info, gathering ideas and deciding later. If it's applying to your social life, especially fifth house can be children and it can be romance. So if some of you were dating, you might be a very busy time for dating, and certainly Gemini energy is very good at meeting a number of people, but it's also very flirtatious, and it can also mean, seeing multiple people at once. So you might be having a fun time. It's also keeping it lighter, with Gemini. It's lighter, more fun, playful connections, intellectual connections, more than emotional connections. So you might be going out to more gatherings. You might be asked out on more dates. You might be flirting with more than one person, or you might be, trying to write a book while you're trying to renovate your garage at the same time. There's a lot going on. And I would have said that with the moon and sun in Gemini anyway, but when you add Mercury and Jupiter there, oh, woo, 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 it's not stopping. Your hamster wheel is not stopping. And then you add Uranus and you add like lightning flashes and sudden ideas and sudden exodus and sudden purging and sudden, wow, I need to do, so it's fun. It's really fun. Now, the other cool thing is that all those planets are making the trines, the blue lines to Pluto in Aquarius. So take what I just said and turn the volume up yet again, friends. Pluto supporting all of this. So your ideas right now, your creative projects could really be big. They could really be onto something. You might be tapping into something collective. So if you're thinking of doing new businesses, if you're even if it's for your personal use, like I don't know, let's go really mundane, okay? Like some mundane personal thing. Let's say you decide that you're going to rip out a fence and put in something new. Okay, doesn't sound that momentous, but when all those planets are in Gemini touching Pluto, you're going to set something else in motion. So by the time you rip out that fence, maybe you're going to get like 3 other ideas, like just come to you. And now you're going to be making fence posts with lanterns and adding a rock garden. And maybe your neighbors are going to get in on it because of the bordering fence. Like there's something about whatever we're doing right now, whatever we're brainstorming and trying to bring to light, that is touching something greater. So when it applies to your social life, your romance, it's the same thing, like powerful connections. In terms of your connection, that sounds maybe redundant, but like the quality of your mental connection, let's say, if you're doing things collaboratively or if it's dating, if it's friends that are new, you're connecting mentally, you're connecting on a cosmic level, you're touching bigger themes than just yourselves. You're growing intellectually with these, and you're meeting probably unusual or like avant-garde or interesting or people that are different than usual with Pluto and Aquarius touching it. And whatever projects or social things you're getting involved with, they could have an effect on your overall personality, how people see you. You might like your overall image, the energy that you're putting out in the world, because Pluto is in the first house. So you're tapping into something greater, and then your vibe is different. And so if you notice that people are starting to talk to you different or look at you different, or if more people are noticing you, or different types of people are noticing you than before, Pluto's maybe working its magic. It's giving you some magnetism. And that's bringing in new people and new ideas as well. So there's really an expansive, nice feeling about this new moon. Now it's also making a sextile. Like I said, a lesser aspect is a sextile. Pluto is making a sextile, and so is Sun, Moon, Mercury to Saturn and Neptune. And that was going to be my next topic, because this is a big changing of the guard. And so all of this creative and mental growth, expansion, projects, brainstorming energy is touching Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So what's that mean? Neptune moved into Aries in March. Neptune represents ideals and illusions. So you might have an ideal body that you would like to get to, even if you work really hard. And sometimes Neptune means that you are seeing the best version of something or someone or of yourself, because Aries is the self. So we're going to talk about yourself. Maybe you're seeing yourself as some sort of, Wonder Woman or Superman figure, or some sort of fit guru person. Maybe it's realistic with enough work, or maybe with Neptune, is it an illusion? Is there something where you're idealizing yourself to the point where it's not realistic? So Neptune in Aries is about, like, what are the absolute best, noblest qualities of Aries? And when does that become sort of a fantasy? When does it apply? Neptune in Aries is going to idealize then the warrior side, the action-oriented, take charge, risk-taking, bold, confident, just being raw, being yourself. This is who I am. That's it. That's all. And they have something very magnetic, because if they're not wearing any masks or filters, they're not trying to pretend anything, and at the same time they're showing us some sort of courage, then that's pretty magnetic, pretty attractive. And it's a leadership quality for those that embody that, because, and this is where Neptune can come in, who is a true leader? Who is a true trailblazer? Who can we sort of put our belief in? Because they're going to come across as just so sexy in themselves. Or if it's the shadow of Neptune, they're going to be like the guru figure that they want to be idolized, not idealized, idolized. And they will require that you pump up their idea of themselves, even though it is not realistic. So let's go back to this ideal body thing. If I sit here, older and overweight, and I insist that you tell me that I'm fine and I'm skinny, and I don't need to change a thing, that might be the illusion of Neptune. That might be me asking you to idolize me, right? dear leader kind of behavior. Like, oh, what does she say? Oh, she told me to do this. Oh, because, and you put all your power on them, like, oh, they're so great, so everything they do must be right, so I have to listen to them. You know, that would be idolatry. And that's what happens with kings, you know, with bad with the bad ones anyway. That happens with gurus, that happens with fanatics. And that can happen with some fitness coach who's totally unrealistic too and wants you to like bow down to them. Think about the sad case of like Bikram yoga or something, where the guy was just this larger than life character, and then it turned out he was abusing people, but he insisted on, you know, walking around in little bikinis and yoga classes, and he, you know, he required to be put on a pedestal and praised for himself. Look at me, look at me, look at me, right? It was about his image. And so that would be the shadow side of Neptune in Aries, is people wanting you to just pander to their image, and what they're doing, what their image is. Maybe it comes across one way for the most part, but a lot of people with your eyes are open and your instincts are on, you'll know that this person's putting on like a facade, a glamour, a magic spell almost of who they are, you know, and then they require you to pander to it and give your power away. That's the shadow. And I'm bringing all of that up because Neptune's going to be in Aries for a long time. Like 16 years. I believe, I have to double check. I think it's till 2038. 14 years, 15. It's a long time. So we're in a chapter where we're going to need to be careful of this. On the other hand, Neptune in Aries can sometimes bring out the very best side of Aries. And we will want to put those people on a pedestal because part of us wants to have an example of somebody who's like a Superman, right? Or a Wonder Woman. We need to have people that we look up to and that, you know, like gods and goddesses, we sort of deify, and we like celebrities, you know, we do that with. So right now, if you were to idealize in an Aries type of way, the best sides of it, it would be, you know, like a hero, a firefighter that runs in a building and grabs people and brings them to safety. And they're, you know, they're courageous, they're bold, they're humble, they're fit, and they help people. And this kind of person embodies very good Aries qualities, you know, being spontaneous, just diving in without thinking of consequences, without thinking of themselves. Strength. However, you can still run into trouble when it's Neptune, because, you know, you want to put a person like that on a pedestal and they might deserve it. But we always have to remember that people are human, and even the same guy that runs into the burning building still has some personality traits, still has quirks and flaws like anyone else. So the danger with Neptune is wanting to make everybody absolutely perfect or absolutely awful. And we're going to be asking ourselves this a lot when it comes to people that stand out. Leaders, gurus, artists, musicians, politicians, kings, anybody who's standing out. What are the qualities I'm seeing? You know, is this person asking me to idolize them and give my power away? Or is this person, you know, basically good, but just remember that they're human, don't. So there's going to be an awful lot of that. I would expect over the next 14 years, we'll see a lot more groups pop up and a lot more cults, and unfortunately. But hopefully we'll also see some actual strong, inspiring leadership. Maybe somebody like a Martin Luther King will come back again, you know? Not literally, I'm saying someone like him. Another Gandhi, another, you know, people that show incredible strength in the face of adversity. And those people we will put on a pedestal, and then maybe 20 years later you find out that they have flaws like we had found out with everybody else. But I'm expecting to see more of that emerging. Now, the other thing with Neptune is that it hides well because it's a watery planet. It lives sort of in the mist and the shadows and the fog. And it's going to be very easy for people, while Neptune's in Aries, to sort of pull the wool over people's eyes. Yeah. We're going to have to be a bit careful. Neptune can be deception. And it's in the sign of Aries, which also rules war, anger, military. Now, Neptune in Aries, when it comes to war, that would be covert measures. There won't be like a big announcement that something happened. You'll only know if you live there or if you have insider info. Or it'll be something that's infiltration from the inside, or it'll be something harder to prove. There's a lot of scary technology, you know, that you see out there that it's hard to say. Well, we don't know whether they're going to use it on us or not. But Neptune would talk about something emotional, psychological, something in the water, something in the gases is another thing that rules Neptune. Something sort of in the ether, something, again, covert. So we're going to really need to be trusting our intuition more than ever, which is why I invite people to join my group and meet other people, learning and trying to trust and trying to understand their intuition better and apply it. Because when Neptune is that strong, when illusions are strong, people have a hard time seeing through it and they want to go along with it, and the peer pressure can be enormous. And a lot of the time you have, you know, when you're listening to your intuition, you might be the only one in the crowd at that moment who's like, no, I don't buy it. There's something off with this person. Why is everybody idealizing this person? I don't like their vibe. And nobody will believe you at first. And that can be a hard place to be, which is why I like to try to build this community of intuitive people and to help you trust it, because sometimes you do have to be alone with your inner guidance. People aren't ready, and you have to find a way to live, to hang on to that, to hang on to your truth and not lose yourself. So that is a larger, bigger picture thing going on with Neptune. Second thing now is Saturn has just moved in to Aries as well on the 24th. Now, Saturn's going to help that out a little bit, this effect, while it's conjunct, which is going to not be for that long, because Saturn will move faster than Neptune. So it'll stick around and calm these energies down for a few months, because Saturn is talking about testing things and being grounded and having a foundation, and it's saying, I don't know if that's real. Is that real? And it's going to test the waters. So it's an interesting combination of planets. They almost want to cancel each other out, because Neptune might be going, oh, look at the colors and the flowers in the sky. And Saturn is like, did you pay the bills? Wake up. Stop it. You know, we see it all the time on like cartoon stuff. They'll be like this, woo, woo, woo. And then something comes along and slaps them and they're out of it. They snap out of it. So Saturn in Aries It's a different kind of message. Saturn, the lesson of Saturn and Aries, if you have it in your chart, and if you're born around like 1967, 68, or yeah, about 30 years after that. So 2007, 8, I imagine. Saturn and Aries. No, I'm wrong. I'm wrong on that. I'd have to double check. The late 60s, though, definitely is Saturn and Aries. The life lesson is usually about initiation. Having the courage and the confidence to initiate something of your own. Because like Aries is essentially about having a strong sense of yourself to draw from, a strong, grounded sense, honest sense of yourself. I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I know what my flaws are. I know what my strengths are. I know what I want. And from there, Aries is very strong. Saturn in Aries is there to teach that lesson of knowing the self. And when you do, then you can initiate something from that space. Sorry, I have a cat that wants to come say hello. Is it baby? It's a baby. You see Inka? Here we go. Here we go. Okay, okay. Didn't want to cross my lap to get to the floor. So if you don't have a strong sense of yourself, then this is where Neptune's message gets interesting, because you'll want to give your power away to someone who does have a strong sense of self. And that could be a leader, a guru, a coach, anybody. If your sense of who you are isn't strong enough, you'll lose yourself in others. This is why this combination is very interesting for the next few months here while they're together. Very interesting. Losing yourself, staying with yourself or losing yourself, declaring who you are is very important right now, so that you're not swept away by the tides of other people's cult of personality. Very important. So the sextiles that are helping it out are interesting. I mean, if you have a strong sense of yourself and you are creatively on fire and you're meeting new people and you're flexible and organic and you're allowing projects to have their own life and their relationships to come and go and have their own space in their own life, and it's all just like a nice little fizz together, and you're loving it and you know who you are, you're having a great time. Okay, you're gonna feel like, wow, finally, this is fun. Let's see what evolves. Let's see what happens. Let's spark something. Let's connect. Then you're going to have a great time. And Pluto, like I said, will bring this magnetism and this outward power to it, or visibility, or something that stretches beyond just you. If you're not sure of yourself and you could be easily swayed one way or the other, and you get all this whirlwind activity, you have to be careful not to get swept up in the tide of someone else's wishes, someone else's goals. Because the power is there. It's the momentum's in the air for all kinds of things to be starting to happen. So if they're not yours, you know, you don't have to be the one who initiated it, even though Aries planets want you to initiate things, but you don't have to be. But if you say yes and join someone else's, you better know who you are and what you're getting into. Because right now, everything is really busy and frenetic. And I think fun, but like I said, if you're feeling a bit lost and I don't know who I am exactly, I don't know what I want anymore, well, you could easily just be like, whoosh, like a hawk comes in and just picks you up and says, You can be a part of our thing. Oh, okay. And you feel like, oh, great. I'm having fun. I'm included. I have an identity now. These people are cool. But you don't know, because you don't know exactly what or who you've said yes to if you're not clear in yourself. If you are, and something comes along and it fits, it's a great time to say yes. Now, the other fun thing going on here is you've got some squares. So squaring off with Saturn and Neptune is Jupiter. So once again, like the Jupiter wants to do 15 projects and go on 5 dates and meet 7 people that night. And Jupiter in Gemini is really intense. It's almost done. You're going to see when Jupiter shifts into Cancer, the whole tone is going to change. And that's coming up pretty soon, this summer. People are going to be a little more settled, and they're going to commit to things more easily again, and commit to people more easily again. And they're going to be a little more nurturing and caring than just like more kid in the candy shop kind of feeling. But for now, it's the kid in the candy shop is clashing with this Aries energy of who are you? And are you, an amazing person that I can latch onto? Or are you like taking us down some weird path with your weird ideas, but you look cool? Do you know yourself? And in the midst of like a million, lots of change, lots of invitations, lots of new things to listen to, new things to read, new people to meet, new, more. You're supposed to sort of go, who am I? And is this the right people? Is this the right project? Is this the right thing? So right now, like, if any of what I'm saying feels exciting, then you feel like you're grounded in yourself, you're probably going to have a really fun time with this, even though there's a square. Because you'll know what to say yes to if you're good with yourself. And if any of this is scaring you, then you might need to like pull back and think and be a bit more discerning of anything you say yes to, or people you go out with, or not to say no altogether, but just to make sure. Just sit with yourself for a second. Tell them like, I'll get back to you tomorrow. That's it. Nothing wrong with that. Think on it for 24 hours before you jump in and say yes. I already had something like this happen. It was my fault. I have Gemini planets. I've been like so many ideas flooding through me, and I just wrote my 4th book and submitted it on the 20th, and it'll come out next spring, 2026. So I've been busy writing, and it's just been flowing through me, and so have a bunch of other ideas. And I said something too quickly to a friend, and before I had thought something through, and I had to double back and make sure that everything was clear, So people can do this innocently, is my point. When so much Gemini is there, oh my God, people can get all in their head and excited. And it's all about possibilities, and nothing's really been thought through on paper, or the repercussions or the emotional effects that some of it can have, So just to say, if you're ready for something, really, it's like ready, set, go right now. Launch. And if you're not, then discern and slow down. The more concerning square, and it's really the only really bad aspect here, difficult, is Mars square Uranus, which is explosive. Mars is in Leo, it's a fixed sign. Uranus is in Taurus, it's a fixed sign, and they can double down and be very stubborn. They can fire off at each other. They can, it can get really nasty and angry. Now, Mars is trine, So it's doing well with Chiron and Venus in Aries. So it's supporting Mars more than it's supporting Uranus. Again, fiery planets, Venus in Aries and Mars in Leo, both just fire wants to go fast, right? So does air. Think about lighting a match. You light the match, the air, there's the flame. Things happen quickly. They ignite. And that's why it's exciting, but it also could be destructive, only with Mars squaring Uranus and Taurus. So then what you look for, like I said, with all of this combined, is if you get a really strong feeling and nothing's triggering you and you're like excited by trying something new or launching a project or telling somebody how you feel or whatever it is, if you're just so good with yourself, so sure, and you're excited and you know where you're coming from, then by all means do it. Like, don't wait. This is great energy for that. If you are sensing friction, tension, competition, jealousy, somebody, needs you to put them up on a pedestal, or you are not sure really what you want, and you feel like you've been asked and bombarded, maybe, you've got to step back and give yourself time before you answer, because this is like a racehorse running out of the gates. I think that's the best explanation I can give for this new moon. All right, let's take a look at the tarot. Oh, the sun just came out. Yay! Oh, God. So just pulling 3 cards just to give a little extra context to this new moon. See if it adds anything. Ah! Ace of Wands. Well, that's fire. That is Aries right there. Burst of fire, burst of will, strong will. Yes. That's the other beautiful side of Aries. The will to get things done. Think about all the years of Pisces planets we've just come through, like 16 years of Neptune in Pisces, 3 years of Saturn in Pisces. Everybody's sort of like tired, depressed, trying to like tolerate or forgive or see the best in, sort of soggy, having a hard time getting things going. That's the saturation point of Pisces we come to. Then you literally burn it off with this boldness, with this will. The will to get things done. Thank God for the Aries planets right when we need them, because people need the will right now to protest, to take action, not just be like, oh, lie down and let people do whatever to dismantle dismantled people's services and governments and countries, and too much horrible destruction going on without enough action to counteract it all over, all around. Aries has the will to fight. Ooh, death card. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. The death card is, like I've said, if you follow my channel, it's not a bad thing. It's just an upsetting thing when it happens. Something that you had your high hopes for, that you thought for sure was going to be great, doesn't happen. Something is canceled. You let go. You're not hired in the first place when you thought it was a sure thing. You have to reroute all your plans that you made because of something. It's a sudden ripping away of what you thought. But the beautiful side of the death card and why it's not a bad thing is something better comes in its place. And usually fairly quickly. Not within, sometimes within a couple of days. Oh, sorry. Depends what it is. I had a death card experience with my book. I thought it was a go for sure. And then stuff happened beyond my control. And then I thought, oh, is this gone? Is this dead? There's no book, maybe no more work with this publisher because so much happened. And then out of nowhere, how fast can you write the book? Here's your new editor. Here's your new company. Here's your new contract. Bam. Just quick. Now, that was prolonged over 6 weeks or so. So it wasn't fun. But it's still relatively quick as a transition from one thing to a completely different one that is better. And that's how a death card moment plays out. And our third card is strength, Nine of Wands. And Nine of Wands is like somebody in the Rider-Waite, it shows a person sitting down with all their wands behind them, and they're holding the fort. The Nine of Wands is, yes, it's strong. It's sun and moon and Sag. It's adventurous. It's been out there in battle before, and it knows what it's doing. And it's sort of holding the ground that they have already won. So this tells me that something that you, or it could be bigger than us, but something that you might be kickstarting or initiating could have a little bit of a burp, let's just say, with the death card. Could be some shocks and surprises, but it's going to turn out, as I said, for the much better. Something that you might be thinking of, all these Gemini ideas. Something could turn out to be even better and bigger than you thought. So that's fun. All right, let's take a look for the signs. See what question. I don't really have a specific question. I mean, the Saturn moving into Aries is a big deal. So let's ask about that. How strong are you in your self-concept and self-honesty right now? How much do you need to work on yourself or reclaim yourself or empower yourself, or how good are you already in your skin? You can take a look at messages for that. All right, so Aries, Saturn's fallen on you. So is Neptune. So if you're born at the beginning of Aries, like late March, you're feeling it. You might be having an identity crisis. Or if you're already pretty good with who you are, you might be feeling a glow. So Aries, do you need to work on yourself right now, and in what way? You have the Four of Cups, luxury. Hmm. Feels to me like you're fairly secure with who you are right now. You've already been through a lot with Pluto squaring you, like we mentioned, for 16 years. You know what I mean? The cardinal signs have already been through so much crap as far as having to evaluate yourself. So this is a nice card, the luxury card. It's the moon in Cancer You're extra sensitive, that's all. Only thing here with Moon in Cancer is you could be sort of overindulging yourself on things. Maybe you're eating too much, spending too much, sleeping all day. I don't know. Luxury. But other than that, as far as your sense of yourself, your core concept of yourself, I feel like you're doing pretty well. So Saturn, if you're not, Saturn on the sun, Saturn in Aries, if you're, again, clear with who you are, now you're going to get a Saturn's feeling of solidity, of now you can really take that foundation and build on it. Otherwise, Saturn will challenge you to find it. And as I said, Saturn in Aries is here to initiate. It's here to initiate. Start something of your own. Lead it. No people holding your hand. Nobody backing you up and telling you what to do. You do it yourself. Yeah. All right, Taurus. How secure is your sense of self right now? Oh, the Justice card. Well, you know, Taurus, you've also had difficult planets challenging you for the last 7 years with Uranus in your sign. So you've been through a lot of upheavals and changes and shocks and surprises, and you're probably pretty tired from that, but you've come out more resilient. And the Justice card would sort of suggest to me that you've sort of sorted out your head and you have decided where things fit and who and what fits where. So I get a feeling, even if you're a little stubborn or a little rigid about it in one way, it feels like maybe you need to be that way because you have sorted out yourself. And I think you're quite strong in your identity right now. Like, let's just say with this question, since I'm asking it of all the signs, if a guru walked into your life today and offered you all kinds of big shiny promises, would you go for it? Blindly walk in the door, or would you be skeptical? And you'd be skeptical. You wouldn't fall for it. All right, Geminis, all these planets on you, and happy birthday to all of you. And I'll shout out to my brother because it's his birthday today on the new moon. Yeah. Happy birthday to my brother. All right, so Geminis, do you have a solid sense of yourself at this time? And this would be a big no. Sorry. Oh, Gemini. This is a Gemini card as well. Yeah. And this card actually is Jupiter in Gemini. So take a look, my friends. This is Jupiter in Gemini. Interference. You know why? There's too many thoughts, too many ideas. It's on overload. Your mind is on overload. You're trying to be too many things to too many people. You're trying to walk and be perfect in too many worlds. So definitely that's a message you need to center yourself and get a little bit clearer. My cat wants food. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll make it soon. Got an old cat. She's having such a hard time with all of this. She's so old. She's getting so old. Doesn't know what she wants to eat. All right. I'm not neglecting my cat. Trust me. I'm making her fresh chicken breast. And okay. Let's just see for Cancers now. Do you have a solid sense of yourself right now? Three of Swords. Feeling I get with you is that it's not that you don't have a sense of yourself, it's that you don't feel anybody, not anybody, you don't feel like the right people or enough people see it or see you, or you don't feel accepted for yourself, being yourself. But it's not that you don't have awareness of yourself enough to say, this is who I am. So for you as well, same question. If a guru walked into your life today and they seem to have everything that you want and they offered you an opportunity, would you go for it or would you be skeptical? I think if you're feeling sad and in despair, you're vulnerable to following or attaching yourself to the wrong things or people. If you feel seen and understood truly, you probably would say yes. So you have to be careful that whoever says they're understanding you or sees or gets you actually does before you get involved in anything. Interesting. Leos, do you have a strong sense of yourself? Princess of Wands. Feeling I get here is that you're just ready to take some risks and be, you're invigorated by all the fire and air energy. Like finally things feel like they're moving and you're feeling a little more spontaneous than you have in a while. And you just want to go for stuff and you're not even really worried about that. It feels to me like you're out there doing things on your own and that you're happy to do so. And it feels like you're a bit in your own world in a way, like you don't care. And it feels like you're doing some stuff that maybe it's been long overdue. And so I get more of a feeling for you of like, yeah, you've got a good sense of yourself. You're off doing your own thing. You're not going to let anybody sway you. So I think you're good. I can't right now. I'm making a video. Come here. All right, Virgos. Do you have a strong sense of self right now? With the Four of Discs. I would say definitely yes. You're feeling quite strong, actually. That's a power card, you know. It says power on it. It's Sun in Capricorn. It's a card of like a fortress, a structure, strong boundaries. I'd say you've got a pretty clear sense of who you are. You can start to actually maybe even relax a little or let down your guard a little. That would actually help you because this castle, as you can see, it is a castle. We're looking at the aerial view of a castle with a moat. There's all this water outside, but it looks so dry everywhere. So it needs to find a way just to let a little bit of water in, a little bit of emotion in. So I think you have a strong enough sense of yourself that you can actually let down your guard and relax a little. You will discern and be fine with whatever comes to your plate. It's sort of a nice message for you. All right, Libras, do you have a strong sense of self right now? The Three of Cups, I'd say so. I'd say you're feeling quite good, actually. All of this, all the Gemini planets, it's great for Libra. Pluto and Aquarius, if you're born early Libra, like late September, this is good. This is exhilarating you, making you grow. Things are abundant and flowing. I would say that you've got a good sense of yourself. Yep. I'd say you're in more harmony than you've been in a while. That's wonderful. So if some shiny guru showed up today and offered you something that you've always wanted and looks like they're the perfect package, I think you would see through it. Yeah, very good. All right, Scorpios, do you have a solid sense of yourself at this time? You got the Five of Swords, not so much. You're feeling a bit down, huh? Feeling a bit low. Too many conflicts, too many things have been disturbing you or bothering you or agitating your mind. Yeah, I'd say you've got, it's not that you don't have a strong sense of self, it's that you feel a bit down or discouraged by some things that have, some events, some things have been happening. Feels like it's just been too many things. You're exhausted. So would you be more vulnerable with the proverbial question of if a guru showed up and offered you everything you wanted, a big shiny person, is your sense of self strong enough to resist or see through them? For you, I get the opposite message. You could be offered a golden cup and it's real, and you might say, I don't believe you, because you've been burned. You've been burned too many times. You might not even trust the good things. So you actually need discernment in the other direction, sort of like Virgo needs to let down its guard. You need to believe that there's still good things in the world and good people. Not everybody is a piece of shit who's going to betray you. Excuse my French. Sagittarius, do you have a strong sense of self right now? Princess of Swords. Not really. You're stressed. All these planets in Gemini have made it harder for Sag. It's your opposite sign. And therefore, it's going through your relationship house. And you've had some setbacks in your relationships. It's either you or somebody next to you is struggling quite a bit. And there's this, this card, she's always combative and she doesn't need to be. She's not making anything better by being combative or arguing or always defending herself, being defensive. So I do get a feeling of you being a little more vulnerable right now. Yeah, and it's related to like too much too much drama or conflict in your relationships is making you not see as clearly lately. Yeah. So you need to extra discern right now if there's anybody new or anybody you're still trusting or not trusting. It's like your compass is a little bit off right now. So you need to take some time to calm your waters, You take a big step back. Anything dramatic, you need to let go. All right. Capricorns, do you have a strong sense of self right now? Oh, yeah. King of Wands. Yeah, definitely. Maybe you've got too big an idea of yourself. I don't know. The King of Wands is like quite strong and quite strong-willed. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's the thing. You do have a lot of confidence and you feel strong. Be careful of being like overconfident. Be careful of not coming across or being you know, a little bit arrogant at times. Because that will make you vulnerable in a different way. If people can see that you're over blowing yourself, your skills or your status or something. You've got to be careful because people can spot that and then they know where you're weak, actually, wherever you're trying too hard or trying to perform. So yes, strong sense of self, but like, watch how you're coming across. Yeah. All right, Aquarius, do you have a strong sense of self at this time? Nine of Pentacles. Oh, yes, you do. And it's grounded. And it's inclusive of people, of other people. Yeah. You're quite good right now. You're connecting to your community or to other people or to networks. And you seem to be fairly confident where you fit into. It's like, it's interesting because all the other cards were about people's personal self-esteem and self-worth and concept, and yours is like interesting because it's tied to like, I'm aware where I fit in the big picture of things within my friends, within my family, within my community. I know who I am. That's ultimate. Like, that's amazing. That's quite amazing. That's real self-knowledge. So you're in a very good spot. And finally, Pisces, do you have a strong sense of self at this time? And you've got the victory card. So yes, you do. You know, you've just come through all the tests of Neptune and Saturn in your sign for many, many, many years. So you have been through the ringer of people testing you, of feeling like you've got to like hurry up and wait all the time, feeling like people are not being straight with you, seeing all kinds of layers of illusion. Yeah, I think you are feeling like you have graduated from some sort of life university after all these tests. So yes, I think you have a strong sense of self to not be susceptible right now. So it's an interesting new moon. Basic overall, I feel it's a good and playful, momentous, dynamic kind of moon. And so hopefully most of you are feeling strong enough in yourself to just say yes and take a bite of whatever's coming along, because it's moving fast and it's fun if you're in the right zone. All right. And if you're needing a reading and you want some help, please message me. My email is down below. And please click subscribe, like, and share, and join my Intuition Cafe. I welcome you. All right. Take care.